Taped from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, a show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
John Trumbull, how you doing? Happy New Year once again, sir.
Once again, yeah. This seems like it should be the last show we wish each other a Happy New Year, right?
Yeah, I think after the second week in January, you can't wish somebody a New Year anymore.
I think after the 5th, it's like kind of pushing it, honestly.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I take back my Happy New Year.
Wow. Okay, so that's how it goes. All right. No, I guess I had that coming.
I rescind it, sir.
But we got New Year's on the brain because we're going to do a movie that has a New Year's tie-in this week.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. This is a good one. I'm glad we chose this one because honestly, this is probably my favorite. I guess it's rom-com, or it's one of my favorite.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I guess it is. It is a rom-com. Folks, we're doing When Harry Met Sally.
Yes.
Directed by the great Rob Reiner, written by the great Nora Ephron.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, the late great Carrie Fisher, late great Bruno Kirby.
Yeah.
Cinematography by Barry Sonnenfeld, which I didn't even know until just now.
Oh, geez, I didn't notice that. I wasn't looking closely at the opening credits. Wow, Barry
Sonnenfeld,
what it says. Who just a few years later, became a director in his own right and did quite well for himself. Yeah, there are some gorgeous shots in this movie, man.
Really is. It really captures like the heart. It's a very New York movie. I feel like
it is one of the quintessential New York movies, man. I actually wrote that in my notes.
I feel like this is like one of those movies where people saw it in the theaters back in it came out July 14th, 1989, a summer movie. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is one of those movies when people saw it in the theaters were like, "Oh, I got to move to New York." It's like it romanticizes the city.
New York looks great. I mean, New York looks incredible in this movie, and it really looks appealing. I mean, New York's a cool city anyway. But it really looks good in When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, budget on this film, $16 million, went on to make $92.8 million. This was a huge hit.
And that's pretty impressive because I remember the summer of '89. Summer of '89 was just blockbuster city. It was when Batman was released. You had Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Ghostbusters 2. What else? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. There was the James Bond movie, License to Kill. It was one of the best summer movie seasons ever, I think.
It was a pretty big deal. I remember that as well. Like, I feel like this is... I guess this really is a reflection of the times, but like I feel like this is like around the time where you could have a movie where it's because this movie there's not much, if any, action in it. It's all just dialogue, all really good dialogue. But like I feel like this is like in that time where you could have a movie where it's just all dialogue, really well done, and really good character development, and it still do well in the theaters. I don't.
Yeah, I think that maybe is part of why it did well. It was like a grown-up movie. It was just character, and people were probably jonesing for that because it was all blockbusters like Batman and Indiana Jones and action stuff like that, and that's perfectly fun. But you want a little meat with the potatoes, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I feel like people forgot that. I kind of feel like people forgot what a big deal Billy Crystal was in his day, like in the 80s and 90s. Like, I mean, this is one of the big one of the big films that Billy is known for, and like I feel like if it's weird because like he's a guy who doesn't really have leading man good looks or anything like that, but he's super funny and really charismatic, and he's one of the reasons why this film is such a great film and it does so well. And
this movie uses him really well. He and Meg Ryan have a great chemistry together. It's written wonderfully. It's directed really well. It looks great, like we were saying, with Barry Sonnenfeld doing some just gorgeous shots in this. It's a really good-looking movie, man.
Absolutely. All right, so so this is the movie we're going to talk about, When Harry Met Sally. But before that,
oh yes,
we got some SNL news.
Oh yeah, we got a little bit of SNL news. SNL finally announced when they were coming back. It was a little up in the air because we had apparently had some COVID outbreaks in the cast and crew. We still don't exactly know what the full story was there. I don't know if we'll ever find out what the full story was. But we did kind of a half a show for the Paul Rudd show back in December.
Yeah, that show was it was interesting
Kind of a
to say the
bummer.
least.
I mean,
Yeah, like we ended the year on like literally just five people on the stage wearing masks saying goodbye everybody, happy new year, and
yeah.
just a lone piano player and a
Here's some
lone
pre-tapes
sax.
we did.
Yeah.
Here's some pre-tapes and some clips. Enjoy. Merry Christmas.
Just a lonely saxophone playing in the background. Just oof.
Yeah, kind of an anticlimax for the year. I mean, but totally understandable why they did it. You got to be safe. I'm glad that they figured out that apparently it is safe enough for them to come back, and we've got a first-time host and a first-time musical guest for the show. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, so next week, January 15th, we have Ariana DeBose
Mm-hmm.
hosting and Roddy Rich with two C's musical guesting. Um initial thoughts when you saw this. What do you think?
Initial thoughts, I went very Jerry Seinfeld. I was like, "Who are these people?" Um,
Who are the ad wizards who came up with this one?
yeah, Ariana DeBose. It turns out it was somebody I've seen before because she was in Schmigadoon. She's mostly known for like her stage work. She was in the original cast of Hamilton, right?
Yeah, she played people saying like she played like the bullet in Hamilton.
Uh huh.
She made her debut. She was in So You Think You Can Dance back in the day, and then yeah, oh yes. And
I'm
yeah,
gonna
and then
guess that she could dance.
she could indeed dance. The
All
answer is
right.
yes. And then yeah, then she just did like a lot of stuff on Broadway. She was in Bring It On the musical, Motown the musical, Pippin, like Hamilton, like we said. She was in A Bronx Tale on Broadway.
Wow.
Uh, the Donna Summer musical, and she's also now in West Side Story, the movie, the Steven Spielberg remake. She plays Anita.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, so that's pretty impressive. I know the theater nerds been going nuts for this, so that's cool. And I
Right.
remember liking her in Schmigadoon. She played the school marm in that, and she was good in that. So that's the main thing I've seen her in. I have not made it out to see West Side Story as of yet, like most of America. That movie not doing too well.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. It's a
Hmm.
beautiful shot movie, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know when I first saw they were making, and I was like, West Side Story. I mean, I guess do we need a new West Side
Yeah.
Story take?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks beautiful. Like the sets look great. The way they kind of shot the old New York or the old West Side in Manhattan look fantastic. It definitely captures the era. But I'm like, it's I don't know. For some reason, it just didn't grab me. I
It
wasn't like I
looks
need to
good. It
see it.
doesn't look risk getting COVID good.
Correct. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. It looks wait for streaming good.
Yeah. But I mean, that's not to say that I'm sure it's a well done movie and it's technically great. I'm sure
Hmm.
the dancing looked fantastic. I'm sure it's amazing, but ah,
Yeah.
it's not Spider Man No Way Home. I'm saying.
Well, sure. What is? What is? Um,
Um. Yeah.
and
And so yeah, Ariana DeBose. She's hosting, and she's not like a kind of like a household name.
right.
But I don't know. I feel like she's on the rise. I was looking on Twitter, SNL Twitter, as I'm wont to do, and I saw
Hmm.
a lot of people were kind of saying, well, maybe they she got the gig because maybe she's local to New York, and if it turns out they can't do the show, it won't be too much of a heartbreak for the people. Because I don't know. I mean, she, like you said, she is one of those people who is known in Broadway circles, but outside of Broadway circles, people are like, I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to see what she does.
And Roddy Rich, I believe he's the announcer on The Price Is Right, right?
Yes, he got a record deal.
Hmm.
He's doing the hip hop. He's down with the brothers. he added an extra C to his last name. So this is I'm looking forward to seeing him spit bars, as the
Yeah,
kids say.
offbeat choice. Offbeat choice. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's Roddy Rich is somebody that neither one of us has heard of. We know he's a rapper. That's about it. Haven't checked out any of his stuff yet. I'm probably just going to come to him cold on the show. That's how I usually do it with the musical guests because I am at an age where I've heard of very few of the musical guests on SNL.
yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah. I'll probably come to him cold. Like I think I'm at that point where I just like, I guess the hip. I'm a big hip hop head, but I just like the hip hop
You like
that
the
I
hipping
grew up
and
with.
you like the hopping.
I like it. I like the hips and I like the hops. But I
Hmm.
just kind of like the hip hop that I grew up with, like the hip hop from the '80s, '90s,
Yeah,
and early aughts. Like
yeah.
I
That's how it
find,
starts. That's how it starts.
yeah, but then like I find like the newer rappers, like the stuff that are kind of mumblecore rap and it's all auto tuned, and I just can't get into it. Like I think anything past any rapper that came out past 2010, I'm like I don't dig it unless it
Wow,
sounds like the hip hop I grew up with, and
gotcha.
I'm fine with that, and
Yeah.
that's okay. So
So I mean, so we'll see. This is what we're gonna get this coming Saturday. Hope it's a good show. Hope everybody bounces back. It'll be interesting to see if like we're missing any cast members or anything like that. Um,
yeah, I
I
mean I
think the
hope
only
everybody.
things we can count on for sure is Keenan will be there, and I think it's a safe bet that Cecily Strong will not be because she's still doing her Broadway show, The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe.
Right. I mean, I think we talked about that too, how much of a bummer it is for Cecily not to be there because she is a theater kid, and to have a host who is from the theater of Broadway,
And somebody
and
she's
like,
worked with before too. Yeah.
right, yes, of course. So to have her not be there while she hosts is like, it's got to be hurting Cecily a little bit.
Yeah, well, you can't do every single thing. I mean, who knows? Maybe she can pop up on a pre-tape thing. Um,
Maybe, maybe they did do a pre-tape. That's a good idea. Yeah, I didn't even think of
who
that.
knows? Who knows?
Who
Anything's
knows?
possible.
Anything is possible.
So
So
anyway, so
yeah,
that's so that's the show next week.
so stay
So,
tuned, guys, for that.
so yeah, and it's interesting that they just announced like the one show. I guess they're just taking it show by show and seeing how it goes. So
Yeah, that seems to be the way they're doing it. You don't want to, man makes plans and God laughs type of thing. Where like, I think if they, plan out ahead, then, you know, who knows what will happen? Like this whole Omicron, Deltacron, Shaka Khan thing will get even worse and worse,
yeah.
and then they'll have to cancel everything. Like they had to cancel the Paul Rudd episode, and
Well, I
I
feel I feel like they probably have other hosts and musical guests lined up, but maybe they're just not going to announce them quite yet, and like not before they absolutely have to. We'll
mm,
probably find out on the January 15th show, what they're doing on the 22nd. So
yeah, I mean, I don't even know if they're still gonna have an audience. How is this gonna work? Is the full cast gonna be there? Is the full band gonna be there?
yeah, it'll be
Crew?
interesting to see.
This I don't know. We'll see how this all pans out.
We don't know. We don't know.
Mm.
We don't know.
This
I'm just. I hope they don't have to go back to doing SNL at home. I mean, that
uh
was that was fine for what it was, but it's not really the show.
that is true. It's yeah, I agree with you. Like there's just something about the energy of performing live in front of a live audience, getting those fresh, hot reactions from the audience, whether it be
Yeah,
cheers or
with
boos.
people who are in the same room with each other.
Right,
That's a nice thing.
the room where it happens, if you
Right.
were. Ah, see, look at
Yeah,
that.
I see. You tied it all back to Hamilton.
Aha, aha. So yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. Hopefully it'll all work out. Hopefully everybody will be safe, and they'll be able to put on a show with all the safety precautions in place. And I don't know. We'll see what happens, and we'll keep you updated. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so when Harry met Sally.
Yes, when Harry met Sally.
So
I hadn't seen this movie in a while, but I
it's
remember
been a while for me too. Yeah. this is one of those movies that used to pop up on TV all the time, and it was a movie with it when you saw it playing on TV, you'd just be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just watch till the end of this. Um, and now it doesn't really pop up on TV the way it used to, and I don't know why that is. Did people get their fill of it? Is it? I don't think it's outdated, really.
No, if anything, this really holds up. I mean, there's like a
Mhm.
few things here and there that, like, when they go to the sharper image to pick up a gift for Jess and Marie, their friends, or like there's
Mhm.
like a few dated things here and there. But honestly, for the most part, it holds up really well. It's aged really well. The
Yeah.
dialogue is still as sharp as ever.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
is
just because it's about character and it's about human behavior. Yeah, and there aren't too many dated aspects. Like there's a cassette player in the music thing.
oh, the karaoke machine.
Yeah, and the karaoke machine. Yeah, and but there's nothing like problematic or where it's like, oh, that's really racist by today's standards. I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
have any cringe moments like that.
Hashtag cancel Billy Crystal.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, for the most part, everything holds up. I love the dialogue. I love that this. I mean, I think I said it earlier in this episode where this is one of my favorite rom coms, and like I kind
Mhm.
of was questioning whether this could be considered a rom com, and I think it totally is. And I think one of the reasons I like it so much is because it's very grounded in reality.
Yeah.
I'd say because usually when you think of rom coms, you think of the man and the woman meet and fall in love through like these crazy circumstances, these cockamamie scenarios have to happen
Mhm.
where like the woman has to get the guy at work who she's always hated to play along and pretend to be her boyfriend for this wedding, and throughout the wedding they actually fall in love and find out they have
Mhm.
like there's always like some weird scenario that has to take
Yeah.
place for them to fall in love to be considered a rom-com.
Or
And
one
but
of them's dating an asshole, and that gives you all these artificial obstacles. There, this isn't any of that. It's just two people they meet in a plausible, realistic way, and it's just about them kind of gradually getting to know each other and coming together over a long, long period of time. And yeah, it's really believable. It's like the type of stories that real people have.
yeah, like the movies when the movie starts, and also like another thing too, where you see like a lot of personal growth in all
Hmm.
these characters too, because well, the movie starts in 1977,
Yeah.
University of Chicago, and Sally and Harry are driving from. They just graduated college and they go into New York City,
Yeah.
and Harry has a girlfriend, and Sally agrees to drive him to New York City, and they don't know each other really. They like know each other through a friend. They know each other through Harry's girlfriend,
Right.
and as they go across cross country to New York to seek their fortune, you see that Harry has a really kind of antiquated thoughts about women. It's like men and women can never be friends because the sex always gets in the way, and he's a bit of a he has he has like kind of a very know-it-all. I would almost a little bit misogynistic type of personality, but then
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like when you're 21, which Harry is at this point. You really feel like you have the entire world figured out,
yeah,
and
absolutely
and then as you get older, you realize like, oh no, I was a freaking idiot at 21.
right,
And I like that they do a nice job with the period looks because like we start in 1977, then it picks up 5 years later in like 1982, and then picks up 5 years after that in like 1987, and then it spans from there to what was then the present day 89. Um, but they don't go like caricature with the looks. I mean, like Meg Ryan has like the Farrah Fawcett do in 1977, but that was a very popular hairstyle. Um,
right.
it
Like
was
they
just
don't do yeah,
they
like
just gave him some sideburns.
like they don't go over the top to show us the '70s. Like they don't have him wearing like bell bottoms and butterfly collars,
Right. They
and
don't go full wedding singer with it.
exactly.
Like although Billy Crystal, I looked it up. He was like 40 when he was shooting this movie, and at times, especially in the scenes where he's playing like 20 years younger, he looks 40. I was like, yeah, okay, he's a 21-year-old with crow's feet.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'll suspend disbelief that this dude with the sideburns in his 20s.
Yeah,
I'll
I
play
mean,
along.
Meg Ryan was like 28 when she shot the movie, so she can pass for like early 20s to early 30s, which is what she is. And Billy Crystal, not so much, but he plays the part so well, you don't really mind.
Yeah, that's true. But I do like that. I like how in the beginning he's a bit of a I mean he's not a total jerk, but he's like one of those guys that just kind of speaks his mind and
Hmm.
says whatever. But then as the years go on, he does become a little bit more humbled and a little bit he's not as as much of a dick as he was in the beginning. He
Yeah,
becomes a little bit
I do
more.
like that both the characters mature, and I like that. I mean, they both have their flaws and they both have their good qualities, and you see them working on their flaws as the movie kind of traces them through their lives, and you don't have like one that you like more than the other. You like them both as people, but you also recognize that they both have their flaws and their issues that they have to work on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Sally is very type A personality. The scenes where
Hmm.
they're in a restaurant and she's ordering. She's like, I would like it like this. I would like this, and this. I would like the sauce on the side. Like she's
Hmm.
very particular about how she likes her food. And she's like, oh, I just like it the way I like it. And Harry
Yeah.
sees that as all right,
And
a bit
from what I
much.
understand, like a lot of the traits were drawn from the real life Nora Ephron and Rob Reiner. Like a lot of Harry's stuff was based on Rob Reiner because Rob Reiner was going through a single period. His marriage with Penny Marshall had broken up, and so
Oh.
he was going through a sort of single and depressed period. And Nora Ephron based a lot of Sally's traits, like the food ordering, on her own stuff. So I feel like the film has a really nice balance between the male point of view and the female point of view. It doesn't feel skewed towards one or the other, which is nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good balance of how women are and how men are.
Hmm.
Yeah, because like I do know a few dudes that do think that like how men and women can't really be friends. I mean, I don't believe in that, but like that is a thought that a lot of guys I know have had, and to see it like portrayed on the screen like that, it's like one of those things that guys kind of do think, but you've never heard it echoed on uh, on TV or movies or anything like that.
Hmm. Hmm. I think, I mean, that is in many ways like the central premise of the movie. And it feels like women are able to separate the sex thing a lot more than men are able to. Like if men have an attraction to somebody, they never really put that away. Like Brian Posehn has a great thing, a great bit on one of his albums where he was talking about when he first got married. A lot of his female friends were like, "Oh, you had a shot with me once, but," and and he said like several different women, female friends of his, approached him and told him that in confidence, like after he was engaged, and he said, but like guys don't have stories like that. And he's like, you know what? Because that window never closes. Because like there's nothing that most women could do that where a guy would be like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to be with that person. It's like
Window.
if you're ever attracted to somebody as a guy, you're probably always going to be attracted to them.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I can't say no, but it's
yeah,
wow. I don't think I've ever heard that joke. Shoot, I got to go back and listen to that one.
yeah. Well, I'll have to find it and send you a link if I can find it.
Oh, please
But
do.
yeah, Brian
That's
Posehn.
a,
He's funny. He's good with the stand-em ups.
yeah. He's hilarious.
He's going to go far in this business, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll get the SNL nerds bump after
Yes,
this episode comes out. So
yes.
he'll be able to pull himself up by his bootstraps after this.
But I mean, we see in the movie like Harry and Sally as they're going on this long road trip together. I mean, it starts out like Harry's just like, "Well, why don't you tell me the story of your life? We got like 18 hours to kill. We're going to get to know each other." And we just see them exchanging their points of view, and they don't really get along very well at all.
No, that's another thing I liked about it too, where throughout the road trip, you think, oh, they're gonna bond and become really strong friends, and they really don't. Like he kind of
No.
talks about death, and he talks about men and women, and his thoughts about everything. and then at one point when they're eating at a diner, um, he just comes out and says, "Wow, you're really attractive. Like my girl didn't
Hmm.
tell you how attractive you are." And then Sally takes that as him coming on to him, which it's understandable.
Onto her.
On to her, right? Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I'm not coming on to you. I'm just saying you're really attractive. Like, why can't a man who is with somebody tell another woman that she's attractive?" And
Yeah.
she took it a certain way. And then when they got to New York, there was just like this really awkward goodbye where they're like, "All right, well,
Yeah.
this is me. See you around, I guess." And then that's
Yeah.
it. And they're
Yeah.
just like that seems more plausible to me, where like these two people just go to New York because they're both going to New York, and they just he just catches a ride with this woman he kind of knows through a friend, and then they're all like, "All right, well, goodbye," and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they literally say, "Oh, I guess we're not going to be friends." And she says, "Oh, that's too bad. You were the only person I knew in New York." And we see them going their separate ways. They go to Washington Square Park, and right by the iconic arch, and yeah, and and then the movie picks up again 5 years later. Sally says she's 26, and they run into each other at an airport, and they turn out to be on the same flight together. And Harry, we find out like Sally's in a serious relationship with this guy named Joe. She's been dating him for like a month. Harry is engaged. Sally is like a journalist, which she was hoping to be, and Harry's a political consultant. They don't really get into their jobs much in this movie.
Yeah, I thought the jobs would like kind of play a bigger part in this movie, but it really doesn't. Although
Yeah,
I did wonder. I'm gonna jump ahead a bit. Like when Harry moves into his apartment, which
yeah.
is huge. I was like,
Cavernous apartment. I mean, if you think the apartments on Friends are implausible, this movie, Harry's in this. My God, his apartment is huge.
it's like an office. It's like what? It's like
It's
the
got
apartment.
these great like windows that are bowed at the top, and it's got this incredible view of the city. I mean, it's like Dana Barrett's apartment in Ghostbusters.
It is. I was gonna say it's more like Tom Hanks' apartment in Big.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Tom Hanks moved out at the end of Big, and then Harry Burns moved in.
Yeah. I got this great apartment. Apparently, the previous owner turned back into a boy, so
Yeah,
he got the place. He just has to grab his trampoline, and it's all mine.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, Harry has a bit when they reconnect in the like circa '87, where he's talking about he got to keep his apartment after the breakup of his marriage, and he has a nice bit where he's saying like, well, they should really combine obituaries with the apartment listings. It's like, oh, he passed away, he left behind a wife and two children and a lovely 3-bedroom place with hardwood floors. And yeah, he's got a great apartment. However, Harry managed to hang on to that apartment. Good job, man.
Yeah, part of me was like, what was New York real estate like back in '89? Was it feasible for a political consultant to get a place like that?
I am sure that this is an unrealistic
I
apartment
get,
for the
yeah,
era. I mean, I think that's just movies.
yeah, because like
Everybody lives better than they would in real life.
right, that apartment, my God, I mean, my
Yeah.
God, oh boy, yeah. So that, so anyway, they meet on the plane in '82.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then they get off the plane, they get to where they got to get to. I think at one point Harry asks her out to dinner,
Yeah.
just as friends, and of course she
Right.
says
Yeah, because Harry's engaged. I don't know if I mentioned that. He's getting married, which Sally's very surprised by. But he's like, no, hey, if you meet the right person, you're in love. You want to get married.
right, exactly. And I think at one point Harry guesses exactly how long they've been going out. With
How
she's
long
been
that Sally and Joe have been going out? Yeah.
right. Like he says, "Oh, will you be going out like a month?" And then
Yeah.
she's like, "Well, 3 weeks. How'd you know that?" And it's like, "Well, because he drove you to the airport. Like that's usually still the honeymoon phase when you're still dropping people off at the airport, like in the first
Right.
few weeks." So but yeah. So Harry asks Sally out for dinner as friends. She says she rebuffs him and says no. She brings up the fact that he kind of hit on her back in '77
Right.
as reason.
And she brings up his theory of, men and women can't be friends because sex always gets in the way. And then Harry's like, oh well, there's actually an amendment to that. If like both the man and the woman are involved with other people, then it's totally fine. And I like that because it's still a little flirty, but it also shows that Harry has matured in the 5 years since she's seen him.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I like this movie so much, because there is some growth and maturity in both the characters, and you can
Hmm.
this movie really does a great job of highlighting that.
Yeah, and I mean, so they get along better. They're civil, but they still don't really click as people, I would say.
Right, exactly. It's not like how it was 7 years ago, where she was disgusted by him spitting out grape seeds out the car window,
Right.
and talking about. I think at one point they were talking about. I think she mentioned they had a discussion in the diner about having great sex, and I
Oh
think
yes.
Harry talks about how she probably hasn't had great sex,
Yeah.
and this is a person he just met too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she says she has with her boyfriend, or his name is Sheldon.
Sheldon. Yeah, and he says, no, you haven't had great sex because you can't have great sex with a Sheldon. I love you, Sheldon. You're an animal, Sheldon. Do me, Sheldon. And
Right.
this movie comes hard at people named Sheldon. I mean,
Exactly.
guys named Sheldon must hate this movie.
Yeah, I can imagine young Sheldon and be like, "No, I hate this movie." I
Well,
think
I
at
think
one
that probably proves the point.
Yeah, I think at one point Harry says Sheldon can do your taxes. Sheldon's good at root canal, but
Yeah,
humping and pumping is not Sheldon's strong suit.
right, right. It's not a sexy name.
It's I'm sorry. I look, if there's a listener out there who is named Sheldon, we apologize. But yeah, you know what's up.
Yeah.
You know. Deep inside you know.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, we pick up the story again another 5 years later. So it's like 1987 at this point. We see Sally out with her girlfriends. One of her girlfriends is the late great Carrie Fisher as Marie. Um, and what a great part for Carrie Fisher this is, man.
Yeah, she's kind of. I mean, the character of Marie is like a person who's really looking to get into a relationship. She really wants to also push her friend Sally into a relationship, because at this
Hmm.
point, Sally broke up with Joe.
Yeah.
For reasons we'll get into a little bit later. And the part of me that laughed at this first is where she said that the two of them broke up, and like immediately Marie wants to hook her up with somebody,
Yeah.
and she pulls out a Rolodex
Yes.
of
Yeah.
names she has. I was
This
like,
is one of the few things where it's like a little dated. I mean, today, of course, she'd like pull out the contact list on her cell phone or something like that. But yeah, she has a Rolodex of single men that she carries in her purse. And Marie also is apparently she has this bad habit of like seeing married men, and
oh
of
yes, that
course
too.
the men are never going to leave their wives for her. So yeah, she's her personal life has its own problems.
Yeah, there's that, and of course her friends are like, yeah, he's never going to leave her. You need you need
Yeah,
to get out of this.
yeah.
But
You need
she
to. This
just
is not healthy. This is not a good relationship.
absolutely.
And we see Sally and Marie. They're like browsing in a bookstore, Shakespeare and Company. Oh well, actually, yeah. Before Harry and Sally run into each other again, we see a scene that kind of updates us on Harry's status quo. We see him with his friend Jess, and we find out that Harry is getting divorced, and his wife apparently has moved in with our tax attorney.
As you do.
As you do. Yeah, I mean, the raw animal energy of a tax attorney. I mean, you can't look if you need your taxes done. Sheldon's your man.
Exactly. That, you know what? I really, part of me kind of wish that they did name the guy Sheldon, just as like a little,
To
just
twist
as
the
like a
knife a little.
but like his name is Ira, which is probably just
Well,
as
is
bad.
that the same guy we meet? We see his ex wife with an Ira later, and Harry obviously thinks that Ira is like it's a Sheldon type name because he says Ira with the exact same tone of voice as he said Sheldon early in the film. And I love that they never comment on it. He's just like, "Nice to meet you, Ira." And just the way he says it, you know that he thinks like, oh yeah, she's not having any good sex with Ira.
Yeah, I'm. I'm. Wow, we're really giving it to Sheldons and Iras today.
We really are. We really are. Because apparently they can't give it to anyone else.
Nope, humping and pumping is not their strong suit.
But anyway, like Harry and Sally, they run into each other again at the bookstore, and they get talking. And again, we see that they have matured. They've been knocked around a little bit by life.
Yeah, and
They've been through some stuff.
they've been through some stuff. I especially like that discussion that Jess, played by the late great Bruno Kirby, and
Mhm.
Harry have at the football game, where Harry's telling him, "Yeah, my wife left me, and she wants a trial separation,"
Yeah,
and then just says, "Hey, man, marriages don't break up on account of infidelity. It's just a symptom that something else is wrong." And then Harry
yeah,
says, "Oh, really? Well, that symptom is fucking my wife."
yeah, yeah. And the really funny thing is that this conversation is occasionally punctuated by them doing the wave, and they're still joining in doing the wave with the crowd at the football game, which is it's just hilarious. It just I mean, they're not paying attention to the game; they're engrossed in the conversation, but they still do the wave when it comes around to them.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So the two of them meet in a bookstore. Remember bookstores? And I think it was like Shakespeare and Company, if I'm not
it
mistaken.
was, it was, yeah,
Aha, nice. And yeah, then the two of them meet for dinner because and
yeah,
they have a really, like you said, they have a really nice conversation. Been
hmm
knocked around by life a little bit, humbled, and
yeah.
it's a really nice,
I mean,
mature, grown up talk.
yeah, they bond over their mutual heartbreaks. I mean, because they have stuff in common now. They've been through similar life experiences. Like Harry's going through his divorce. Sally is just had a breakup of a major relationship because she's been with Joe for like 5 years at this point. Um, although later she says she last saw Harry 6 years ago, but the
Mm.
caption at the beginning says 5 years later. So I don't know what to think. It's probably going on 6 years. Sally's probably rounding up.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those things where people don't remember exactly how long it's been since they've done something or seen
That's
someone.
true.
So
Yeah.
you could say, "Oh yeah, that happened 6 years ago when it was actually
hmm
5." Maybe
But
that's it.
yeah, but they have a good talk. They talk about what led to the ends of their respective relationships, and then at the end, Sally asks Harry out to dinner, and I really like that it was that. I like that they turned it around, and that we see that Sally actually likes Harry as a person now, and that they've bonded and they are friends.
Yeah, exactly. I really enjoyed that, and like you said, they talk about their past relationships. Harry still misses his wife. Sally says, she doesn't miss Joe. She misses the idea of Joe.
hmm
She's kind of keeping the emotions inside, like the
She's
heart.
repressing a bit. I mean, her
That's the
character
word.
is generally pretty repressed, I would say. Yeah, so she's kind of pushing it down and not really dealing with her feelings that much. Like Harry says to her a little later in the movie, he's like, "I never see that come back on you." Um, like Harry is much more of a surface person. Like like when they have a big fight later on, she's like, you don't have to express every feeling you have at the moment you're having it. And that's one of Harry's problems. And she maybe doesn't express her feelings enough. So
Right. So they're kind of the same, but yeah, we're not so
Mhm.
different, you and I.
That's right. That's right.
And
But we see them. We see the friendship that's developed with them. That they have a type of friendship where they're calling each other late at night and watching the same movie on TV. And I've done that with friends.
yeah,
We see them going to museums, going out to dinner and stuff. And this is where we have like some of those gorgeous shots we were talking about, like the scene where they're just like walking, and it's autumn in New York. Oh my god, that's a gorgeous scene, man.
it really romanticized the city quite a bit. It's like
Yeah.
I think, especially there was like jumping ahead where it's Christmas time, and then it's just
hmm
they show shots of the ice rink in Central Park, and
Yeah.
a guy playing saxophone on the corner, and light snow coming down across the city. I was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, this like part of me was like, oh wow, I really I think I kind of miss New York City a little bit. Like,
Yeah, it really makes New York look like the greatest place in the world.
right. So this is the movie that caused everybody to move there and raise the rents. That's what I'm saying. Thanks a lot, Rob Reiner.
So this is the movie that gave us gentrification.
Yep. Prove me wrong.
And then we have I don't think it's too soon to talk about this. We had the famous scene. This is probably the scene that everybody remembers from this movie. Is a scene at Katz's Delicatessen where Harry and Sally are talking about whether or not women fake orgasms and whether
Right.
men can tell if women are faking orgasms.
Exactly. Yeah, and I again, I really enjoyed this scene
Hmm.
because in a way, it's if you've looked at throughout the rest of the movie, it's always kind of Harry saying, "Yeah, men do this, women do this." Like
Hmm.
he's always had that kind of, like you said, like kind of know-it-all view of the world, where it's like, yeah, guys are like this, women are like this, and but then in this scene, he comes around saying, "Yeah, no, women haven't faked it with me," and now it's Sally schooling him about,
Yeah.
like kind of opening up his eyes and be like, "Oh wait, maybe I don't know everything I thought I knew."
Hmm. Hmm.
Which is
Yeah, and
why I like
she
this.
actually proves her point by faking an orgasm in the middle of the restaurant, and everybody else in the restaurant stops dead. And the thing that makes it great is like at the end of this, her whole like yes, 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 and she's like pounding the table and tossing her head back and forth, and she's putting it all into it,
Woo!
and then she just like quietly goes back to eating her meal, just
Oh,
proving completely fake. It was all a
oh,
performance.
oh, Lord! Oh
Yeah.
my, it's getting warm in here. Woo. And of course, the whole scene is punctuated with a woman at the table next to them saying to the waiter, "I'll have what she's having."
Yeah,
And
and this is a moment that it jumped out at me a little bit because since the last time I've seen this movie, I've eaten at the real Katz's Delicatessen. Um, and by the way, that used Katz's Delicatessen was in Michael Che's little intro thing in the SNL's opening credits.
yeah, absolutely.
That's where he was sitting. So I've gotten to eat at the real Katz's Delicatessen, and you order at the counter. You order at the counter. I don't think they have any like wait staff coming to your table. I don't remember that happening when I was there. Now maybe it was different in 1989, but
Yeah, that makes yeah. Now I think about it, yeah, that like I mean I was only there once, but yeah, I
yeah,
don't remember anybody coming over asking me what I wanted. Like you
you
go to
you you got a number. You went to the counter. You ordered it, and then you got it at the end of the line. Then you went and found a table.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but they do have a sign over that particular table where that was shot now, because that's become one of those famous movie scenes.
Right, and of course, the woman that said, "I'll have what she's having," Rob Reiner's mom.
Rob Reiner's mom. Rob Reiner, I remember saying, like, if you've ever, I mean, if you've never had the experience of directing an actress to have a fake orgasm in front of your mother, I mean, that's what I thoroughly recommend. But this scene was apparently like this a real collaboration, because like I think Nora Ephron recommended that as a scene. Uh, it was Meg Ryan who suggested that Sally prove her point by faking an orgasm in public, and Billy Crystal was the one who provided that line to button the scene, that I'll have what she's having, and just just a perfect scene, I think.
Yeah, and actually, I'm looking through the trivia page right now. There's apparently there seemed to be a number of people that were considered to play Harry before they landed on Billy.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I read about this too. Yeah,
yeah, so like Bill Murray, Jeff Bridges, Harrison Ford was considered. Albert Brooks turned it down,
yeah.
and I believe Tom Hanks was considered, but I think he turned it down because I believe they said he thought the screenplay was too lightweight,
Wow.
which I'm not. I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess it didn't speak to him. I mean, this is one of those movies where it works so well with the people they cast. It's really tough to imagine it with anyone else. Like apparently, Rob Reiner's first choice for Sally was Susan Day, uh,
Mm.
and he also considered Elizabeth Perkins, Elizabeth McGovern, and Molly Ringwald.
Oh,
Yeah, and Molly
interesting.
Ringwald, interestingly enough, she later did a stage version of When Harry Met Sally.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Well, actually, another thing we should talk about that I really liked about this film is the couple's interviews that they have scattered throughout this movie.
Yeah, we haven't touched on that. That's a neat like thing that the movie just periodically returns to. It's like whenever the movie leaps forward in time, we have another story from these couples about how they got together. And apparently, they were based on real interviews, but the couples in the movie are played by actors.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like a lot of them, a lot of the stories are very sweet, romantic ones. Where like, yeah, we knew each other since high school, and as soon as
Hmm.
we saw each other, I knew she was the one, and we've been married for
Yeah,
50 years. And then some are like, yeah, we got together, but then we got divorced. Then I was seeing other
right.
people. Then we met up again at a funeral. I was with somebody, and
Yeah,
now here we are, married again. You
I
know,
like the one where there's the older couple and the woman just says, "I just knew. I knew the way you knew a good melon." I love that line. That's a great line.
that's a great. I actually wrote that down because I really like that
Yeah,
line too.
yeah,
Oh, like just find someone that loves you like a good melon. People,
yeah.
that's the dream.
And then let's see. We go. I understand that after the Katz's delicatessen scene, the when Estelle Reiner said, "I'll have what she's having," that line got such a big laugh in test screenings that Rob Reiner had to add on more footage after that because people were missing the beginning of the next scene. Like they were laughing so hard from that. And
Oh,
you watch the movie like at home by yourself the way I just did. It is a long sequence, just kind of establishing. Oh yeah, it's Christmas time in New York City. I mean, it's probably like a good solid minute of establishing shots after that.
that's the scene I was talking about. Yeah, I did notice that. I was like, it was like you said. There's like a bunch of scenes with no Harry, no Sally, but it's just them in New York. A lot of beautiful New York in the wintertime shots, and
Hmm.
and no one's talking, and that's it. And like for a while, I was like, why are we? This is going on for a little bit long. What's happening
Apparently,
here?
that was intentional padding because that was such a big laugh in the test screenings. So
Oh,
yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Um, and
Okay.
and we see that by this point, like Harry and Sally are getting so close as friends that they're catching feelings basically. We see them
Right.
dancing
Yeah.
together on New Year's Eve. They're dancing cheek to cheek, and we see them sort of circle around on the camera, and the looks on their faces just get more and more serious. And it's a really great scene. It's just no dialogue. It's just all through their expressions, and that's really great.
Yeah. They're really kind of really what's the word? Like they're doing a lot of acting with their faces and just like eyes. You see, like as they're hugging
Hmm.
each other and dancing, you see there's the looks on their faces where they're like, "Oh, this feels different. I think something's happening right now between us, and I don't know how to
Yeah.
feel about it." Like you see that look on their
Hmm.
face quite a bit, and it's
Right,
really,
because I
well,
mean
yeah, it's
they're
very subtle.
yeah, I mean they're so close. Yeah, you can tell that they're starting to have feelings for her, but they're also both kind of scared of it because the friendship is so good. They're really scared of screwing up the friendship, which sex and romance can do. Yeah, because like if you try it and it doesn't work out, then yeah, you've lost one of your best friends, and that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think at one point Harry even says that, like, yeah, I've never had a relationship with a woman that didn't involve sex. So this is
Right.
all really new to him, and he doesn't want
Yeah.
to screw it up.
Yeah.
Again, showing maturity, growth.
Yeah, and we see a little after that we see Harry and Sally. They try to set each other up with their friends Marie and Jess, played by Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby, and they go on a double date together. But it ends kind of badly for Harry and Sally because Marie and Jess really hit it off, and they end up like getting a cab back together because they just feel that spark. They know the way with a good melon.
A
So.
great melon, yeah. I like at one point where Sally tries to start a conversation between them and saying, "Oh, hey,
Mhm.
Harry, Marie, she's also from Jersey." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, really? Where are you from?" "South Orange." "Oh, I'm from Haddonfield." and that's it. It's just no
And that's
conversation.
it. I mean, just because they don't have that spark. And yeah, and Marie and Jess do. Marie ends up quoting something that Jess wrote back to him. Something about restaurants are to the '80s that what theater was to the '60s, and apparently Jess is like this Jimmy Breslin type columnist or freelance writer or something. Again, they're very vague about the occupations.
Yeah, I think at one point where Jess is talking to Sally about Jimmy Breslin, and she's like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah, I'm not a huge into him," and then
yeah.
Jess looks upset. It's like, "Well, he's just one of the people that's inspired me to write, or whatever." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Ooh,
yeah. I mean, yeah, and we've all been on like bad dates like that where you're just not clicking with the person for whatever reason. You just don't have that common language.
oh, indeed."
Yeah. And then so those two they hook up, they hit it off. 4 months later, they're moving in together, and we have Harry and Sally shopping for a housewarming gift for them. And Harry runs into his ex Helen at the store, and she is with Ira.
Ugh, ugh, Ira.
And that sends Harry into sort of a tailspin.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
he goes all the way off.
yeah, yeah. And he goes on a big rant when they're at Jess and Marie's house. I remember like the first time I saw this movie, I was a little confused because on my first viewing, I was like, oh, Jess and Marie have gotten married. But like later in the film, we see them preparing for their wedding. And then I was like, they were just moving in together before. Oh, okay. I've just, for some reason, when I saw this, I would have been like 17 or something like that. I was just
Uh,
assuming because they were moving in together, because they got married,
yeah,
and we just didn't see the wedding. But then later
right.
we see the lead up to the wedding. I was like, okay, they were just living in sin,
Filthy, filthy sinners.
filthy sinners.
Filthy. Uh, oh, living in
But
sin against.
that's the thing I always remember whenever I rewatch this movie. I'm always just like, oh yes, they're not married; they're just moving in together. Because they never say it. You just sort of pick it up from context clues.
Yeah, yeah. I just kind of looked around. I was like, all right, they're living together.
Yeah,
But yeah, Harry kind of goes off on because he's still upset over seeing his ex-wife with his,
yeah,
her new lover, and I think he kind of goes on this tirade about you just you should just now while you're together now. This seems like the honeymoon period, but you should make a list of what's yours and what's hers now.
right.
Because once you guys break up, it'll all go to
Yeah.
he's a bit of he puts a bit of a damper on the
You'll
afternoon.
be well someday. You'll be fighting over this wagon wheel coffee table that Marie hates, and there's a nice button on the scene where after Harry storms out, Marie is just like, "Honey, I will never ever want that wagon wheel coffee table." And yeah, it's a cute scene, and it is a horrible coffee table.
I liked it. What are you talking? I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I'm not gonna fight over it, but it's like I was like, all right, I can see where this is going.
Well, it's one of those pieces of furniture. It's very much like a bachelor guy piece of furniture. I can see it not working in a couple's apartment.
Yeah, I guess. I'm sure, 20-year-old Darren would be like, "Oh, wagon wheel coffee table, awesome. Get some
I
us."
think I think it appealed to me much more when I was like 20ish, and me looking at it as a dude in his 40s. No, I'm just like, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, I guess what you're saying. If I'm sure, in my 20s, I imagine my place looking like a wagon wheel coffee table, maybe a street sign or two hanging up on the walls,
Sure, yeah,
a
that's the dream.
pinball machine if I'm lucky. Something
Yeah,
classy.
well, like the apartment in Big, basically.
Yeah, that's what. Now
I
you're
mean, did
cooking.
you did you have to throw out a lot of your stuff when you got married, when you moved in with your wife?
Not a lot. I mean, I did have street signs
Yeah.
that I had to get rid of. But for the most part, I was able to keep most of my stuff. A lot of the other stuff I have is still at my folks' place, and I got to
Uh,
go through it and toss out some of the older things. But
right.
but yeah, wagon wheel table. I ain't mad at it.
Okay. All right.
I ain't mad.
So yeah. So yeah, and Harry and Sally have this big fight, but they resolve it well and maturely. I like how, after Sally just kind of goes off on Harry, like they're kind of talking about the fallout of their respective relationships, and Harry kind of goes at Sally a little bit. He's like, you haven't gotten serious with anyone since you broke up with Joe, and it's like been a year or two at this point. Uh, and she's like, well, you've been sleeping with half of the city, and I don't see that helping you out with Helen. And,
Right.
and I,
I think she says, Harry, you're gonna have to move back to New Jersey because you slept with everybody in New York, and
right,
I don't see that turning Helen into a faint memory for you.
yeah, and I like at the end he's just like Harry's cooled down. He just goes, okay, you finished? Can I say something? And then he just goes, I'm sorry, and he hugs her. And yeah, I like seeing them work it out, and it's so much more of a realistic thing. It's not like a movie fight,
Right. Exactly.
if
Again,
that makes sense.
that's why I like this movie so much because of the
Yeah.
realism in it.
Hmm.
Large apartments aside, this does
Yeah.
feel. It doesn't feel like a sort of contrived rom com, regular rom com with all the tropes and
Yeah.
everything. This just feels like a lot more real, a lot more grounded.
And I feel like that's probably because so much of this movie was drawn from the real lives of like Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron. So I think that kept the movie really grounded.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then we continue on. We see all the couples are together playing a good game of Pictionary at
Hmm.
at a game night. We see Harry's dating somebody and Sally's dating somebody, and
Yeah.
of course they do those things where they talk about the person that the other person is dating behind
Yeah.
their backs. Like
And neither
Sal,
one likes the person that the other one is with. Yeah. For some reason, after we decided we were going to do this movie, the line of dialogue that was been running through my head for like a week or more was like Sally's illustrating baby talk, and
that's
and Bruno Kirby's character of Jess, he guesses like baby fish mouth because she draws like a bad mouth, and Billy Crystal just at one point goes, well, Jess says baby talk isn't a phrase. And Billy Crystal just goes, but baby fish mouth is sweeping the nation. For some reason, that's the line of dialogue that's stuck in my head. Baby fish mouth is sweeping the nation. I don't know
babe.
why I remember that line, but it's a very funny line.
Why a band hasn't taken the name Baby Fishmouth yet is
It's a
beyond
good
me.
band name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Baby Fishmouth, they're opening up at the Palladium.
Yeah.
They're opening it for Real Big Fish, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So both of them are dating people, and
yeah.
they seem to be doing all right. Uh,
Hmm.
and then we get to the big scene where Sally finds out that her ex Joe is getting married.
Yeah. And it hits her hard. She calls up Harry. She's like, can you come over? And yeah, he comes over to Sally's apartment. She's a wreck. This kind of sent her on a spiral. Uh,
Right.
and she's sobbing. And Harry's just trying to calm her down. And yeah, they bond, and he gives her a little peck on the lips, and one thing
Hmm.
leads to another, and they do it.
Yeah, I like how she has some good lines in there where she basically is really, like you said, distraught because, uh, the reason that they broke up, as that they talk about it earlier in the movie, is that as time went on, she realized she wants to get married and she wants to have kids. Joe
Hmm.
didn't want that, so they broke up because
Right.
she wanted a family and he didn't.
And then,
And
like, less than 2 years later, Joe meets somebody else, and he's able to make that commitment with her with a
right,
paralegal in his office.
yeah, and she's
Ugh.
like, she's supposed to be a rebound. She's not supposed to be the one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and then she comes to the realization. It was like, well, I guess he did want to be married, just didn't want
yeah.
to be married to me, which is
I
heartbreaking.
if you hear about an ex of yours, like if you hear about them being with somebody else, especially if like you're not with somebody else or if you're not in something serious and you don't hear about it in the right way, that can really hit you hard, man.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that can send you down a dark road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
but like one of the funniest lines I like is where she says, "Oh my God, he's marrying somebody else, and I'm gonna be 40." And
yeah,
I think Harry says, "What do you mean 40? When?" And she says, like, someday. It's down the line.
yeah,
It's
and he says in 8 years.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. And then
32. It's a bit soon to be stressing about turning 40.
yeah, you're gonna be fine. And then she talks about how it's different for when guys turn 40 than it is for when women turn 40. Like Charlie Chaplin had kids until he was like in his 70s, and
Yeah,
then Harry said, "Well, yeah, but he was too old to pick him up."
yeah.
Trying to add some levity to this situation.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's like you said, one thing led to another. She's in a very fragile emotional state, and they
Yeah.
kiss, and then they bone.
As Carrie Fisher would say, he consoled her with his penis.
Mm-hmm. Hey
that,
now.
that, that was like a Carrie Fisher quote about. Um, I it was one of the people that her mother Debbie Reynolds uh, hooked up with.
Hey now. Okay.
So
Yeah, but this part always kind of threw me off because, like, once this happened, once they have the coitus, like, part of me thought
coitus.
it's a great word that not enough people use anymore.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, so when they have the coitus, like, I thought the biggest problem was like they were still both seeing other people, but that doesn't really come into play. Like no one mentions that, so I'm assuming they broke up with the people they were seeing up with.
Yeah. I mean, you never get the impression that they're very serious about those other people that they're with. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
assuming they just broke up with the people off screen. I'm assuming they did the honorable thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
guess so. Like, cause like when once they hooked up, I was like, oh, they're both cheaters. But like it never gets brought up. So like even when
well, I
like
mean,
what I mean?
neither of those characters are significant in the movie. I think they have maybe one line of dialogue apiece, and you never really get to know them as people. So you don't feel in a big way that it's like that they're cheaters.
Yeah, I guess you're
You
right.
know, by this point in the movie, you've kind of been waiting for Harry and Sally to figure out that they're crazy about each other and perfect for each other. So you're at this point, you're just happy that they've gotten together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And yeah, so then next morning, uh, uh, it seemed like Sally is okay with what they did, but Harry's kind of freaking out internally about
yeah.
it. You see, it's weighing a lot more on his mind, and then
And you have that great phone call scene where
yeah,
they each call, like Harry calls Jess and Sally calls Marie, and we got a three-way split screen. We've got Jess and Marie in the middle, and they're each talking on their respective phones, and then Harry and Sally on either side. And the way the dialogue is coordinated, it's just great. I've read that they had to do like 60 something takes of that scene to get the timing right,
oh wow,
which I mean that's incredible.
I could see
But
that.
it works beautifully.
Yeah, like it's synced up really well, but yeah, I could see
Hmm.
it's it's pretty intricate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they decide to have a talk about it. Uh, I think they both agree it was a mistake.
Yes.
Harry's relieved to hear that it was a mistake. I think Sally's also a little concerned because, like, oh, he just kind of left in the middle in the morning. You
Right.
know,
And she kind of knew that was Harry's MO, but it's a
yeah,
different thing to be on the other side of it.
love him and
You know,
leave him.
especially when it's somebody you've known for 12 years and been a really close friend to for a couple. So,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah. So then that happens, and they both agree it was a mistake, but their friendship is never really the same because
It's awkward.
as we
Yeah.
said earlier, once you bone, it ain't the
It
same.
changes things. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
does.
And complicating it further is right around this time, Jess and Marie are getting married, and of course Harry's the best man and Sally's the maid of honor. So they have to be in this wedding together, and it's still awkward. It's just like 3 weeks after they slept together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's yikes. And
yeah,
They have an argument at the wedding, of course,
At
about
the
what really
reception,
happened
yeah,
at the reception,
they
not
have
the
a big
wedding.
fight. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it just ends with them not hanging out anymore, and
Hmm.
it's kind of a bummer. It's like,
And we get a montage of Harry trying to apologize to Sally. I love that we see at one point that Harry has bought the karaoke machine because at one point he's leaving a message for Sally, uh, doing the song "Call Me" using the karaoke machine. I love that. That's a nice callback.
yeah, I mean that's just a quality purchase right there. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's hours of entertainment.
Yeah, that's just a karaoke machine. What? Not yes, here, take my money. That's a no brainer.
Yeah, and I also like. I mean, he's being cute with his messages. He's like, "Well, you're not answering, so I'm assuming A, you're either out, or B, you're home, but you don't want to talk to me, or C, you're home, you desperately want to talk to me, but you're trapped under something heavy." He's being cute and charming.
Answering machines. I remember those things.
Yeah. Well, now I'd be calling her cell, and there'd be less reason that she wouldn't
Yeah,
be picking up.
yeah. just just text after text after text.
If you don't hear back after like 3 calls, yeah, they don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, just take the hint, man. Don't go down that road, my friend.
Don't break out the karaoke machine.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be like Jan Favreau in Swingers. That one scene.
Oh God, that scene is so cringe.
I love that. Like, all right, Swingers is all right. Side note: Swingers is one of my favorite movies, and I
Yeah,
love that scene. And it just, but still, that scene just makes me cringe every time I see it. I'm like,
it
oh,
gives me PTSD because
oh,
I think most every guy has been that guy at some point. We've done, if not that exact thing, we've done something similarly cringe.
oh, guilty.
Yeah.
But let's not talk about that. Let's
Let's
like
not go down that road.
yeah, I don't need I don't need the flashbacks.
But so by this point, it's New Year's Eve again, and Harry at one point he's like, "Hey, we always said if we didn't have dates, if we weren't with somebody on New Year's Eve, we'd be each other's date." And Sally is just not ready for it. She's like, "Harry, I'm not your consolation prize." And, ooh,
Woo!
yeah. So we
Oh
got
boy.
we got Sally at the big party on New Year's Eve, and Harry's just alone and miserable and wandering the city.
Yeah, which is that part I find a little unbelievable because he's like, "Oh, New York City, the streets are empty. I could just walk around and no one be around." But I feel like there are some people like straggling from party to party in New York on New Year's Eve, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's in a part of the city that everybody's either in Times Square or at a party. I mean, it's somewhere between 11 and midnight, so I didn't find it that big of a stretch.
Yeah, I guess. All right, all right, Trumbull. All right,
I mean, it's a movie. I'm going with it.
all right.
So, but
Okay.
but Harry has the revelation on the street, and we see him like start jogging to the party and just running to be there in time. And yeah, it's very rom com at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is like the one rom com trope that's in this movie that I will allow. I'll be like, all right, I'll let
Yeah,
this
I
pass.
mean, because yeah, by this point you're fully in. You're
Yeah,
you're there. You're invested. You just want them to be together, and you don't particularly care if it's slightly unrealistic or implausible.
right. Because I think at this point, like he's walking the streets, and then he happens to walk by Washington Square Park, and he walks by the same arc that Sally dropped him off at 12 years ago.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah,
he like kind of flashes back to all the years he's known her, like at the airplane in the 80s, and driving up in 77 from Chicago, and
yeah.
it all hits him. It's like, oh,
All the good times they've had. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
like
that's
remember that time we were in the museum and we did those voices.
oh yeah,
And Meg Ryan didn't know how to react, so you see her glancing off screen at Rob Reiner to find out what to do.
right. Remember that?
Like Harry remembers that.
Remember when you orgasmed at the deli? That was great.
Yeah, good times.
Good times. These are the good times.
Uh, and yeah, so we see Harry break it into a sprint, and he comes to the party, and Sally's about to leave because she's just so depressed to not have somebody to kiss at midnight. And then Harry and Sally see each other, and Harry gives the big speech, and it's a good speech. It's a cool speech.
Good speech, yeah. Like he basically,
Yeah,
let me see if I can find it. But yeah, he says he loves her. He just says, "I love you. I love everything about
yeah.
you. Like everything."
And he's just like, I love the way you get that little crinkle uh, above your nose when you think I'm being crazy. I love the way it takes you an hour and a half to order something. I love and and he's like just listing all the things that should drive him nuts, but because it's her, he loves her. And yeah, and that's very true. Like
Right.
you kind of love a person, flaws and all.
Right. All right. So this is what he says. I love that you get cold when it's 71 degrees out. I love that it takes you an hour and a half to order a sandwich. I love that you get a little crinkle above your nose when you're looking at me like I'm nuts. I love that after I spend the day with you, I can still smell your perfume on my clothes. And I love that
Mm-hmm.
you are the last person I want to talk to before I go to sleep at night. And it's not because I'm lonely and it's not because it's New Year's Eve. I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
That's a
Damn.
great speech. That's a
I'm
great speech. And
bravo.
and I also love it. It does still kind of sound like something you would say off the cuff.
Right.
It's not overly written. It doesn't. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
It's not like Aaron Sorkin dialogue.
no, exactly. Where he's like, he's spouting statistics and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
like quoting of I don't know some Shakespearean Noam Chomsky knowledge.
right. Right. Um, it still works, and I love Aaron Sorkin, and he's
Yeah,
great in his own way. But
I
yeah,
do too. I do too. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Um, but it's good. And then after that, we get another one of those little couple montages, and now it's Harry and Sally telling the story about how they got together, and we find out that they got married like 3 months after.
oh
And they're like,
yeah,
it only took us 3 months. Well, 12 years and 3 months.
12 years and 3 months.
And it's very cute. It's a very cute ending to the movie. I mean, the movie still works beautifully.
Yeah, again, like I said, it holds up really well. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel dated at all. I mean, just
No.
because like the main crux of it is just man and woman relationships and love
Right.
and that's something that's pretty universal that's pretty timeless. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I was really surprised about how much I still like this movie and how good it is and how well it holds up. It's like a fine bottle of wine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it still works just as well as it did back in the day. It's always fun to revisit this movie. Yeah. I mean, it's just great. It's one of Rob Reiner's best movies. I think it's definitely. I mean, this is the movie that Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan are both going to be remembered for. This is going to be like the first line in their obituaries, I think.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
This
and
is yeah.
and I mean, Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby are both great in it. They're great support, and I mean, it's mostly about those four characters. I mean, everybody else is pretty much just a walk on.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, where it's like you said, it's not a huge cast at all. It's
No.
like four people have a bulk of the dialogue in it.
Hmm.
And so when you have that, like most of the character growth and character development is just based around those four people. Everybody else is just kind of side characters and,
Yeah.
extras almost.
Yeah.
So you
By
like
the way, how great of a run did Rob Reiner have as a director in the 80s? I
dude.
looked up a list of his films. This is what Rob Reiner directed in the 80s. He did This Is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, then 1992, A Few Good Men. Uh, then it all comes crashing to a halt with North. But then he bounces back with The American President. But
There you go.
that is that is one of the best runs that any director has had. I mean, just
Yeah, I mean, and also the fact that the films are so different. I mean,
yeah,
I forgot he did Misery and
Misery.
the
Yeah,
Princess Bride. You can't get like because like usually a director kind of stays in one genre. It's like if you're
right.
if you're a comedy director, you just do comedies. If you're a
Hmm.
action adventure guy, you just do action adventures. The fact that he did like a horror, then a kids movie, bounced, and he started off doing like a comedy
Hmm.
satire. That's pretty
Right.
impressive. I don't know too
Yeah.
many
I mean,
directors that
he
do that.
does. Yeah, he does like a coming of age thing with Stand by Me. He does like a romantic adventure story with Princess Bride, a rom com with Harry Met Sally, one of the quintessential horror movies with Misery, and then he does a courtroom drama in Few Good Men. That's some range, my friend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh
But
man, but
hats
yeah, I
off to
mean,
you, Rob Reiner. That's
cheers. Yeah, I'm trying to see if this movie won any awards. I think it won like best screenplay, but I think that might
uh
have been about
yeah,
it.
that's a good question. I didn't look that up. Let me see. I got IMDb. Let's see. I'll see
Okay.
if I can find it. They have an awards
Oh,
section
actually,
on
no, I got it.
IMDb. Okay, great.
Yeah, it was nominated for an Academy Award for best original screenplay, but didn't win.
What won?
Golden Globes didn't. That's a good
What
question.
beat out When
Mm,
Harry Met Sally?
I don't know. Probably
That
something
shit
that
ain't
didn't
right.
deserve it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Four wins. 17 nominations total. I'm seeing. So,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Now, best writing, screenplay, written, directed for the screen. It won a BAFTA for best screenplay and best nominee for best film. Won at the American Comedy Awards. Okay. So yeah. No, it's done well. It got a lot of the Golden Globe nominations as well.
Yeah, but didn't win any of them. I'm surprised. Like deserves more love. I think deserves an award too.
Yeah, I mean it's held up well over time. They should award Oscars like 10, 20 years after the movie comes out, you know? So
Thank you.
we can
Now
look
you
at it with
get it.
hindsight. So we can
Absolutely.
so we can see if it like maybe have like an Oscar review board. Like, 10, 20 years later we come back and we'd be like, "Okay, did it really deserve this or should it have been this other thing instead?"
Absolutely. All right. I'm still looking. All right.
Let me see.
I'll find it.
I'm gonna Google 1990 Oscars now. I want to see what won that screenplay award.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this, people.
We are. Okay, here we go.
Up. I think it lost to Dead Poet Society, if I'm not
All right.
mistaken.
Best screenplay written directed for the screen. Dead Poet Society is what won that year.
Yeah, that's fine. I
Tom
guess.
Schulman. Good movie. Last time I revisited it didn't hold up as well as I would have liked. That's one of those movies that seemed like really profound when I was like 17, and when I revisited it a number of years later, it's like, oh yeah, this seems kind of trite now.
Hmm.
So it
Maybe.
was up against Dead Poet Society, which won, Crimes and Misdemeanors by Woody Allen, Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee,
Hmm.
and Sex, Lies, and Videotape by Steven Soderbergh.
Ooh. Yeah, I
Good
remember that one.
lineup, man.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, that's some tough competition there, but I get it. I
tough
guess.
competition. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that's our episode, guy. I mean, when Harry Met Sally, it still holds up. Still a classic.
Mm-hmm.
One of, like we said, one of the things Billy Crystal will be most remembered for. And Billy Crystal, he himself has quite the resume. It's one of those things where I think I said earlier in this episode where I think people kind of forget, like in the '80s and the '90s, Billy Crystal was kind of everywhere. He was in a bit of a tear.
Yeah, he was. I mean, Billy Crystal was having some good. I mean, this is really all the right people coming together at just the right time. And I mean, it's kind of like that with romance too. I mean, because
Mm,
this movie really shows that, yeah, Harry and Sally, they're the right people for each other, but they weren't, not until the right time came around. Like in 1977, they weren't the right people. In 1982, they weren't the right people for each other. But when they came together 5 years after that, they were the right people.
yeah, very true.
So,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's like Nora Ephron at the right point in her life. Rob Reiner and Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, they're all at the right point, and it's the right people doing the right film, and they
Yeah,
made a classic.
lightning in a bottle, as it were.
Lightning in a bottle. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, and Billy Crystal went right from this to City Slicker. So, yeah, he did pretty well.
Another fantastic film.
Yeah, we got to cover City Slickers at some point. Another Bruno Kirby joint.
Oh my god. Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
I think
Bruno.
this is the first thing I ever saw Bruno Kirby in.
This. Wait, this or City Slickers?
When Harry Met Sally.
Ah, yeah, I think so. I think the same. I think the same. Like
Yeah.
he's one of those actors who, like, I remember seeing him in a bunch of things, but yeah, this is the one I most remember him for. This and City Slickers. I really like City Slickers too. That was a big one for me too. But, like,
It's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. Oh, by the way, one of my favorite bits of trivia about this movie is, like, Rob Reiner, he based a lot of Harry on himself, or he and Nora Ephron based a lot of Harry on himself. And I remember in the liner notes of the soundtrack. By the way, the soundtrack of this movie is great. Harry Connick Jr. and all these standards and stuff. But Rob Reiner, he wrote the liner notes and he said, like, this is a movie about how people find each other. And he was kind of like single and miserable and depressed during the beginning of this movie. And then over the course of this movie, a friend set him up with who became his second wife, Michelle Singer. And they got married in 1989 and they're still together.
Oh, that's lovely.
So, isn't that nice?
Yeah, it had to be you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I bet that played into it, as there was a romance going on off screen too. Rob Reiner was falling in love in real life.
Oh, l'amour.
Yeah.
Marriage.
So, marriage.
That dream within a dream. That still makes me laugh. Oh.
I mean, Rob Reiner, man, how good is he? And and Nora Ephron, gone too soon.
Yes. R.I.P.
Yeah.
All right, and yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's our episode, guys.
I think that's it. I think that's most everything. Is there any other cool trivia? I think we covered most of that.
I think we did. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're good. Let's land this plane. And
okay.
Yeah, that's our episode, guys. Thanks again for listening, as always. Join us next time when we talk about the new episode of SNL with Ariana DeBose and Roddy Ricch, of course.
Roddy Ricch.
Yes, of course.
Find what he's all about.
Yes, the announcer for The Price is Right. We're going to hear him bust out some rhymes. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna it's gonna be dope, as my people say.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool.
And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at SNL Nerds Show. Reach out to us, let us know what's up, say hey. And as we got a Patreon up at Non-Productive.com. Hey brother, can you spare a dime? Give us some dough so we can keep the lights on and keep this fantastic podcast going. And as always, you can follow.
Well, and also, please rate and review the podcast as well, because that really helps us out. That helps boost us up in the algorithms and all that fun stuff. So if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and write a review.
Yeah, it takes like a second. Just be like, hey, these guys are great. Send. You're done.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
All you got to do.
That's all you got to do. Come on, man. It's the season of giving. Right? And I don't know why I'm talking like that. But yeah, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic. So,
yeah, tune in next week. We'll be talking about the Ariana DeBose episode, and we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully, it all goes off without a hitch. Hopefully, everybody.
We'll have opinions. We'll like some things. We'll not like some other things.
Yes,
and we'll talk about what we thought.
Yes, thoughts, opinions, the whole Megillah.
The whole schmear.
The whole kit and caboodle.
Yes.
From soup to nuts.
From soup to nuts. All right, so that's what we're going to do next week, and we'll be here. So, until then, nerds out!
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.